What's up YouTube? It's Tanner with Built Not Bought, and today I'm going to show you how I built these awesome walnut stools that I made specifically for our sofa table behind me here. Before I get started here, I want to say that I got the inspiration for these stools, or I based them off of Andrew over at Mollywolly Woodworking. Go check out his Instagram. He makes some fantastic stuff and he's been an inspiration for me. He built a set of bar stools that I based these off of. I just tweaked the height a little bit and then I changed the way the top looks. But I give full design credits to Andrew. I reached out to him and he was awesome and was perfectly okay with me using his idea. So thank you, Andrew, and make sure you go check out his work. Really awesome stuff.
To weld up the base for these stools, I made this jig out of some scrap material. I just tacked down these boards in place with a brad nailer, and then I just have to set all this metal in place, and I know that every single piece is going to be exactly the same.
So here's the welded up base here. I still have to put caps on those. And the one thing that I think I'm gonna have to change on these, I absolutely love the way they look, but I think the footrest is too tall for how high the chair sits off the ground. So this right here, in regards to where the actual seat is too high. So like your knees would just be up too high if you put your feet on here. So I think what I'm gonna do is cut these about an inch shorter and re-weld it together, which is kind of a pain because I have all four pretty much done. And now I'm gonna tear them all apart and start again. But in the end, I think it's gonna make it much more comfortable and more functional.
So here you can see I chopped off that piece of metal with the angle grinder, not the cleanest cut. I'm going to come back and clean this all up, but I'm going to drop this down a couple inches. I think it'll be a much better fit that way.
Hey guys, I'm back out in the shop, and now I'm going to start working on the tops of those stools that I've been working on the bases for. And I found this beautiful piece of walnut. It almost kills me to cut this up into circles, but the top of the stools are just going to be 13.5-inch round circles. And I used up all of my scrap walnut on other projects, and this is what I have left. So I'm going to take and cut this beautiful plank into 4 round stool tops. And I've had this for about a year. Oftentimes when I get these pieces of walnut or other lumber, I fill the voids right away. That way I don't have to mix up epoxy a bunch of different times. So I've already filled the voids on this. What I'm going to do is take and cut it into 14-inch rectangles and get my 4 pieces out. And then I'm going to take it over to my circle jig, which is over there, and I'm going to cut 4 round pieces out of this. And here are my 14-inch squares, and these will get cut to a 13.5-inch diameter circle on my homemade circle jig over here that I use the table saw for. I'll show you how I work that in a second.
So shortly after this clip where I was showing how I was going to set up my circle jig, I decided to make these stools more personable and more of my own versus completely copying the other design. So I audibled from circles into kind of this half circle shape, and I really like how it turned out.
I quickly sketched out a half circle, not necessarily a circle, but just these curved edges on the back side of the stool here. I kind of just ended up freehanding it, and then I cut it with the bandsaw and fine-tuned it with the belt and disc sander, and I'm pretty happy with how this looks. So then I'm going to take this one and use a flush trim bit to get all 4 of these exactly the same. These will be mounted to those bases from the bottom with 2 bolts and threaded inserts from the bottom here. So I'm attaching the bottoms to the base with 2 threaded inserts, leaving a much larger hole than the actual bolt itself to allow for wood movement. And I'm just using these 1/4-inch bolts to hold it in place.
Once I had all the stools assembled, my wife gave me a hand in the shop and we put Rubio monocoat on all of the stools, as well as 2 other projects that I was rushing to get done before my shoulder surgery. And here is the stool in all its glory, completely finished and in our living room. I could not be happier with how these stools turned out and how well they fit with the sofa table that I built. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these stools and our living room aesthetic as a whole. It's kind of fun to dream up a living room or a house all together and then make it happen. And this has just been a blast from start to finish.
Guys, that's going to do it for today's build. I want to say thank you to all of my new subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. I would like you guys, if you've been enjoying this content, to hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you are alerted whenever I post new videos. Now that I'm kind of laid up, I plan on catching up on a lot of old film that I never got to make videos on, so I should be posting content fairly regularly in the future. But I do want to say thanks to all of you that already have subscribed. It means the world to me. We'll see you on the next build.